Hello everybody, it's Julia here from the Highly Sensitive Tarot. I hope that you're all well and good. I'm back today just with a quick little video just to have a first impressions sort of walkthrough of this deck here. I couldn't resist buying it, to be honest. I absolutely love Gustav Klimt's artwork, and I'd had my eye on this deck for a while. I've watched a few reviews and people had said it's gorgeous, but not the easiest deck to work with. So I think that will be my impression of this deck also. But it is beautiful. Anyway, so this is the box. I like these little tuck boxes. Got the kiss there. Look at that, look. Just beautiful. I don't know, even though I'm a big fan of Gustav Klimt, I do not know the names of all of his paintings or who all the people are in them. I know a little bit. I'll say what I know, but I don't know a huge amount really. So yeah, this is the little book. It's in lots of different languages, as these little low scarabeo books tend to be. So this book, this deck is by, let me see, it's not that obvious actually. The art is by A.A. Atanosov. Atanosov. I've probably butchered that name completely, but Atanosov. And as I said, it's a low scarabeo deck. Yeah. So, what's the copyright of this? Do we know? Copyright. Well, it says it was printed in 2021, but it doesn't have a copyright other than that. So I don't actually know how old this deck is really. It's the Golden Tarot of Klimt. So there we go. And it's just a usual little booklet. There's an introduction. It does actually tell you a little bit about Klimt, who he was. Legendary Vienna at the beginning of the 20th century is the setting in which Gustav Klimt worked. 1862 to 1918. With his work, the artist succeeded in perpetually reviving the atmosphere of that magical epoch, the basis of our contemporary culture. Says in 1897, in protest, Klimt decided to leave the School of Arts and Crafts because I think that painting and other figurative arts were not given their proper worth at that time in the Austro-Hungarian court. And other painters joined him at that time, and they sort of formed this splinter group known as the Vienna Succession, which I'm sure many of you will have heard of. I'd heard of the Vienna Succession, but I hadn't completely fully understood what that was. So that was a splinter group of Klimt and various other artists that left the School of Arts and Crafts. So what united all of these artists was primarily downright rejection of the tradition, and in particular the moralism that characterised previous generations. So of all the painters that glorified that artistic period, Klimt is the one who indelibly left his mark on our imagination, as he so perfectly expressed the spirit of the bourgeois and aristocratic world of his time, transforming it into a dreamlike universe of magnificence and decadence. Which is true. There is a very sort of decadent feel about much of his artwork. You know, much of his artwork is gilded and beautiful colours. What else have we got here? He can be considered one of the initiators of the tradition of modern design because he succeeded in combining pictorial techniques and purely graphical techniques, and naturally understood through great sensitivity the potential of the predominance of decoration. He was, in fact, highly regarded as a decorator. My God, I would love him to decorate my home. It must be remembered that at the beginning of the 20th century, the public was not used to natural depictions of the nude body, the representation of sensuality that violated customary aesthetic conventions by portraying old people, pregnant people, fat people, in line with the idea of a modern free painter open to different influences. And it's true, you see all ages in Klimt's paintings, from the young to the very old. And he's not always very flattering in his depictions of women either, in the sort of form of them. Often women's arms are quite thin and their bodies are not true to form. They are very much a Klimt idea of what he saw, I guess. So what else have we got? The Tarot of Klimt. Klimt and his strong allegorical subjects inspired the tarot designed by A.A. Atanasoff. Every now and then a fundamental aspect of the artwork of the great Viennese artist emerges, or rather the revival of that Hellenic classicism. Blimey. A revival with roots in the Nietzschean culture that indicates a return to the origin, that is, that ancient Greek world where authentic aesthetic and ethical models can still be found uncontaminated. Well, that was a mouthful, and I'm not entirely sure I know what that means, but I will ponder upon it. The symbolism inherent in the tarot is perfectly coherent with that symbolist culture that also gave origin to Klimt's artwork. The pictorial images of the Viennese artist are in fact full of hermeticism. His works seem to be depictions of a mystery, and even more so an expression of emotions and drives, which is very true, actually. Very true. So there we go. That's the little booklet, and these are the beautiful cards. Let's see if I can get hold of them properly. This is the back of the cards, which is Klimt's really very well, you see this all over the place, all these lovely spirals, don't you? This gorgeous gold, these little triangles, these spirals. They're the things about Klimt's artwork that I just really love. So I'm gonna so it's got the card in 4 or 5 different languages, I think, here on each card. So if anything catches my eye that I completely recognise, I hope you can see that. My light seems to be, that might be a bit better, mightn't it? If there's anything here that jumps out at me that I recognise immediately, I will say, but actually, let's turn them that way around because I want to keep them in order at the moment. Haven't actually used them yet. I'd like to keep them in order. So that's mother and child, isn't it? I have got my phone open, and I've got a list of some of Klimt's paintings here. So and now I've managed to, oh, honestly, come on, Julia. My phone is not doing what I want it to do. There we go. So yeah, that one is mother and child, isn't it? As I said, I'm not going to be able to tell you a great deal about these cards. These are the wands, as you can see. And the wands have obviously been added into the existing artwork. And as you can see, this must have been quite a difficult thing for people to look at the time, mustn't it? Because, you know, you don't often see representations of people's bodies sort of bent and crooked and old, really, like this. But they are beautiful. So that's the Knight of Wands, the Queen of Wands. I have seen her before for sure, but I don't know her name. I think my light is still causing a problem, isn't it? If I put that over there, maybe that will be better. Yeah. I was just looking in my list to see if I recognise any of these people we've just looked at, but no. So we're on to the swords. I just absolutely love these. They are mysterious, aren't they? This one here, I did used to have this as a canvas, and it was the, not mermaids, water sirens perhaps. I'm not sure, but I did used to have that as a canvas. I think that, yeah, I'm not sure what happened to that, but I did used to have that one. What else have we got here? This one, it comes from the mermaids or the water sirens also. So through the swords. I think that you could, with the, you know, with your basic knowledge of Rider-Waite-Smith, I think you could read these cards. You know, like the Ten of Swords there. I think you could read these cards intuitively, but maybe not quite as easily as some other decks. So we've got the Knight. This one, this lady here, I recognise her for sure. Who is she? I think that could be a portrait of Eugenie Primavesi. Yeah, and one back a little while ago is a portrait of Friedrich Maria Beer or somebody. See, I can't even pronounce the names of these people, can I? If I'd really prepared for this video, I would have sat and gone through the deck and picked out a few cards that I recognised, worked out who the characters in the deck are, and I'd have a little list here, wouldn't I, to tell you, but I obviously haven't done that. You see all the beautiful metallics on these cards. These are just gorgeous. At the moment, I've got 3, I think, of Klimt's artworks hanging in my house. I've got the Tree of Life. Who else have I got? I've got Lady with a Fan. And I've got the Maiden as well, which I don't think we've got to yet in these cards. So we're on to the Cups. I don't think he was ever particularly flattering of women in many of his images, but they're still beautiful anyway. Ah, this is the Maiden. I have this one, and actually this is hanging on the wall above my tarot table. It's the Maiden. It's a really beautiful picture with several women all sort of seeming to be tangled together. So that's the Ten of Cups, isn't it? Wow. Gorgeous. Look at that, look, the Two of Cups, how lovely. And then we're into the Major Arcana. A lot of pregnant women, isn't there, in these cards? Beautiful. I do hope you can see these properly. I realise my light is not great. That's a bit of Lovers kind of energy there, isn't it? I recognise this one. I'm sure I used to have that one when I was a younger girl. I think she's called Danu. I've probably pronounced it wrong, but let's have a look. Yeah, she's not in my list. Excuse me. But I think she's called Danu. Danae. Danu, maybe. Beautiful. I love these kind of images. I just love all the gold, the triangles, the swirls. It's beautiful. I recognise this one as well. I think that might be the 3 ages of women. It might be death and life. I'm not entirely sure. It would have been nice if they could have had a list, I think, a card in this deck with a list of all of the artworks used to produce these cards. That one is one of the, yeah. Sorry, I have had a little fiddle with these. As you can see, they're now in the wrong order, aren't they? We've got the Fool here now. This beautiful woman here, who is she? Hope, maybe? Who is that? Don't know. Could be Hope. Could be Hope. I'm not sure. That's a very powerful image, that, though, isn't it? Really esoteric. Do you see what I mean about his images? They are like, even in the most ordinary cards, just a lady sat there with her book, there's just esoteric sort of symbols and little markings and strange bits all over the place. It must have been quite a strange time to be alive, I would imagine, in the early 19th century. Beautiful. There's the Hierophant, just looking gorgeous in his golden coat there. And then the Lovers. I'm sure all of you are familiar with the Lovers. It's just beautiful, isn't it? Look at that for the Chariot. I don't remember ever seeing that as an image. I think, as in the Bosch Tarot, many of these images here are just little bits of some of his bigger paintings. It's not like the entire painting you're looking at. It's like bits of bigger paintings, and I think some of them have been coloured differently as well. She rings a bell as well, this lady here. Who is she? Let's have a look. If I can see who she is. I'm not sure. No. He painted her a lot, though. I know, I recognise her face. Maybe like Hilda or something, I'm not sure. Look at that, look, that's really interesting. Beautiful. There's quite a lot of Egyptian sort of themes and feelings in these cards as well, isn't there? Wow, look at her. I'm on to Pentacles now. I'm sorry, these cards were not in order. This video is just poorly thought out, wasn't it? I am sorry. I just thought I'd got a little bit of time to sit and do this video this morning, and I didn't really think it out at all. As I said, I do think that you could do a reasonable job reading these cards intuitively. You know, they do have shape and form and a feeling, an energy about them. I'm surprised there aren't more of his sort of natural nature scenes in these cards. They're all mainly of people, aren't they? But he did a lot of sort of landscapes. He did a lot of forests and trees and gardens. This one here is gorgeous, isn't it? The Ten of Pentacles. Lovely. I recognise this woman here as well. Who is she? He did like to put a golden halo around people's heads, didn't he? So who is this? I think Eugenie, no. I think this is Friedrich Maria Beer. I think this is another painting of her, actually. And then the last card, what's that? The King of Pentacles. So there we go. I'm sorry that they were all in the wrong order. That the way I've got my camera, so that I was hoping you'd kind of see them well enough. It means that I can't properly see what I'm actually looking at here. So I'm sorry, as I said, it was a very poorly organised video, but I just wanted to show you how beautiful the cards are, really. I don't know where they'll fit into my practice, to be honest. They might just end up as a deck that I get out and sit and look through and ooh and ah over and say, oh my God, look at how gorgeous they are. Look at all the golds and metallics and all the swirls and all the mysticism in them. But I may also use them as well. I'm not really sure just yet. But anyway, I hope that you enjoyed seeing them. And I'll be back soon with another first impressions video. I've got a witch's deck and a wizard's deck to show you when I get round to it. So I hope everybody's well, and please do say hello in the comments, and I'll see you again soon. Thank you.